The hero's journey is the most popular form of storytelling in modern-day pop culture. And this also dates back to ancient myths and legends. But did you know that these stories derive from your own psyche and how you view yourself? We all see ourselves as heroes in our journey. In life, we go through challenges. When we overcome them, we may feel stronger. Sometimes we may even feel strong enough to help or change somebody else. But I bet we have all been there when trying to change someone else was met with disappointment. You might have even experienced a disappointment with yourself. Maybe you did not live up to your own expectations or you let somebody down. Sometimes when looking at our outside world, we might have admired someone so much, but when you found out more about them, you were probably met with disappointment and you may have even stopped being a fan. What I am describing is a characteristic literally all of us have. Something that psychologist Carl Jung described as the hero archetype. You see, in order to understand yourself better, you have to understand these different archetypes of your psyche and how they each come with their own pitfalls if you're not self-aware enough. The more unaware you are about yourself, the more susceptible you are to falling into these pitfalls and committing more mistakes in your life. So by the end of this video, you will have an understanding of the hero archetype, including its advantages and disadvantages, with examples from famous movies, shows, and other stories. The more aware you are about yourself, the more you can avoid these disadvantages and succeed in life. So Carl Jung's model of the psyche is divided into three main parts: the conscious mind, the personal unconscious, and the collective unconscious. The conscious mind is where our ego lives. The ego is the center of our conscious awareness, responsible for our sense of identity and our interactions with the outside world. It filters out perceptions, helping us navigate daily life by focusing on what we are aware of at any given moment. The personal unconscious, on the other hand, is where we store forgotten memories, suppressed thoughts, and feelings. Things we are not actively aware of, but can recall or bring to mind when needed. This is also where the shadow resides. The shadow represents the parts of ourselves that we reject or deny, often because they don't align with our self-image or society's expectations. However, understanding and integrating the shadow is essential for personal growth because it holds hidden strengths and insights, and being aware of it can also prevent you from committing the same mistakes over and over again. Lastly, the collective unconscious goes beyond the individual. It is a shared part of the human psyche containing archetypes, universal primal symbols and patterns of behavior that are common across cultures. This is something we all have in common as humans and are born with. It's in the collective unconscious where we find the 12 archetypes. These are patterns of behavior that resonate deeply within all of us. Today, we'll focus on the most well-known and beloved archetype, the hero. As we see in countless movies, books, and myths, the hero's journey represents the universal struggle of overcoming challenges. And while the hero's role is inspiring, it also has its shadow side, which we'll explore in this video as well. From ancient myths to modern blockbusters, the hero's journey is one of the most common narratives in human culture. Heroes face trials, confront obstacles, and undergo transformation. These stories resonate with us because on some level, they mirror the challenges that we experience in our own lives. Whether we're battling internal conflict like anxiety or depression, or external circumstances like dealing with difficult people, we relate to the hero's quest for growth and redemption. Pretty much, we want to see ourselves as strong heroes like the ones that we admire in the stories that we love. Now here's an interesting twist. Even villains see themselves as the heroes of their story. Some of the most compelling antagonists in fiction are those who genuinely believe they're doing the right thing. Their actions, however harmful, are driven by their own perception of justice or truth. This teaches us that the hero archetype isn't just about nobility, it's about perspective. Without self-awareness, we can justify almost anything, believing we're in the right. We have to balance out multiple forms of intelligence, including types of intelligence like cognitive, emotional, and moral intelligence. In life, we see people who are very cognitively intelligent, but their moral intelligence might be very low, which would explain why they commit certain actions that end up hurting people. This is why you see several people in our society who commit immoral acts. From serial killers to people in positions of power who overstep their boundaries and exploit other people, in their head, they justify the things that they do. And in a less extreme example, when we make a mistake, at the time that we make the mistake, we might justify the action for why we commit it. And when looking back at it, if we haven't learned from our mistake, we might come up with excuses for why we did it. Thankfully, a lot of us do learn from our mistakes, and we try to prevent ourselves from hurting people going forward. Now let's get into 5 advantages and 5 disadvantages of the hero archetype. The advantages will help you understand the importance of this archetype and how you can channel it into something positive to help you succeed in life. The disadvantages will help you understand common pitfalls you have to be aware of to prevent yourself from committing mistakes in life, and they will also help you grow by being aware of these pitfalls. I will bring up examples from stories many of us are familiar with to help drive home the message. Number 1 is courage and bravery. The hero archetype is synonymous with bravery. Whether in small or large ways, heroes face fear and act despite it, inspiring others to do the same. In Star Wars: A New Hope, Luke Skywalker shows immense bravery when he decides to rescue Princess Leia from the Death Star. Despite being inexperienced and facing overwhelming odds, he doesn't hesitate to jump into action. This courage allows him to step up when no one else would and sets him on his heroic journey. Consider a time in your life when you chose to act out with courage or bravery. Maybe it was a selfless act to help somebody else, or maybe you stood up for something that you felt was right, despite the consequences. Number 2 is determination to overcome obstacles. The hero archetype embodies a sense of mission, a drive to fulfill something larger than oneself, whether it's protecting others or achieving a personal goal. Luffy's unwavering determination in One Piece exemplifies this advantage. No matter how powerful his opponents are or how many times he gets knocked down, he always finds the strength to get back up. His determination pushes him to keep going even when the odds are stacked against him, a trait that often inspires his crew and others around him. Whether it's rescuing a crewmate or confronting a warlord of the sea, Luffy's relentless pursuit of his dream reflects how determination fuels the hero to achieve their goal. You might admire that aspect when you see it out in these different stories, and you feel like you want to be determined to accomplish the goal that you want to have in life. Number 3 is resilience in the face of defeat. Heroes often face setbacks, but what defines them is their ability to bounce back. The resilience helps them grow stronger from their failure. In the Hunger Games, Katniss Everdeen embodies a resilience in the face of defeat. After losing loved ones and witnessing the brutal oppression of her people, Katniss continues to fight against the Capitol. Even when victory seems impossible, despite the trauma she endures and the psychological toll of surviving the Hunger Games twice, she remains determined to bring about change. Her ability to persevere through personal loss, physical pain, and emotional despair demonstrates the hero's strength in standing tall against insurmountable odds, refusing to give up her fight for justice and freedom. You could probably relate to this if you went through something very difficult in your life and you just pushed through and you got to where you are now. Maybe you still have trauma from that. Maybe you still feel really upset when thinking about these past moments, but nonetheless, you were led to look up certain videos about psychology to help understand yourself better. Maybe you read some self-help information to help yourself out or had talked to people. Whatever it was, you persevered, and now you are where you are right now. At the very least, you are looking for things to help yourself be a better version of yourself. Number 4 is inspiration to others. Heroes naturally take charge, guiding others through challenges. Their ability to inspire and lead is one of their most admirable traits. In Naruto, the main character, Naruto Uzumaki, constantly inspires those around him. His belief in his friends and his refusal to give up motivate characters like Neji, Gaara, and even Sasuke. His journey from outcast to hero shows how a hero can uplift and inspire others to achieve greatness. And at number 5, we have a sense of responsibility for others. In Spider-Man, Peter Parker's famous realization, "With great power comes great responsibility," encapsulates the burden of responsibility heroes often carry. After his uncle Ben passes away, Peter feels responsible for using his power to prevent harm to others. The moral compass becomes a defining aspect of his character as Spider-Man, showing how the hero archetype embodies a deep sense of responsibility towards others. Peter sacrifices personal desires to live up to the responsibility his abilities impose on him, which ultimately defines his heroic path. Now let's go over the disadvantages. These are some things that you should look out for in yourself, because though you might see yourself as a hero, you could succumb to certain disadvantages like the ones that we're going to describe right here. And that's number one, arrogance and hubris. This is when the belief that you are always right can turn into arrogance. Heroes at their worst may struggle to see other perspectives, thinking their way is the only way. In Attack on Titan, Eren Yeager initially sees himself as the savior of humanity. However, as his power grows, so does his arrogance. His belief that he alone knows what's best eventually blinds him to the consequences of his actions, leading to devastating outcomes. So to avoid that, it's important for you to keep an open mind and accept the possibility that you could be wrong. Number two is unwilling to accept help. Heroes may resist receiving help from others, believing they have to go at it alone. This can prevent them from benefiting from the support of those around them. In Star Wars: The Empire Strikes Back, Luke Skywalker rushes off to face Darth Vader despite Yoda and Obi-Wan's warnings that he's not ready. His unwillingness to accept their guidance results in a brutal defeat, where he learns the hard way that even heroes need help from mentors. In your life, you could be like a parent or someone that you're taking care of, and you feel like this is all you can't accept help from other people, but things get really difficult in life and you have to be open to just receiving help from other people that are close to you. Number three is becoming blind to one's flaws. This is when someone overestimates their own ability and fail to see the major flaw in their own character. This can ultimately lead to reckless behavior. In The Legend of Kora, Kora starts as a confident, headstrong avatar who believes her physical strength and bending abilities are enough to solve any problem. Her overconfidence often blinds her to her own flaws, especially her impatience and tendency to act without fully considering the consequences. This is especially evident in her conflict with Aemon in Season 1, where her belief that she can easily take him down leads to underestimating his threat and nearly losing her bending. It's only through deep self-reflection and growth that she begins to recognize her vulnerabilities, showing how being blind to one's flaws can lead to personal setbacks and failures. At number 4, we have emotional burnout. Heroes often take on the burden of solving everybody's problems, or feeling like they need to take on everybody's responsibilities without realizing that it's too much. This can lead to burnout or feeling overwhelmed by expectations. Consider Spider-Man: No Way Home. Peter experiences severe emotional burnout as the weight of his responsibilities mounts. The deaths, betrayals, and pressures of being Spider-Man take an emotional toll, culminating in moments where he questions whether he can continue. The loss of Aunt May devastates him, making him question his path and purpose. This is a stark example of how the hero's constant battle to protect others can lead to emotional exhaustion, a common pitfall for those who take on too much without proper support. Then finally, at number 5, we have alienation from others. Being the hero can sometimes result in feeling alone as they shoulder responsibilities others don't understand or share. In The Dark Knight, Bruce Wayne's isolation as Batman becomes evident. His commitment to Gotham means sacrificing close relationships, leading to a solitary existence. His vigilante role forces him to push others away, even those who care about him, like Rachel Dawes and Alfred. His loneliness and detachment from society shows how the hero's dedication to their mission can result in emotional isolation, distancing them from the people who could provide comfort and support. These are some of many examples out there in pop culture about the hero's journey. They all share similar elements, and we can relate to them because we view our life that way through the hero archetype. This is likely a reason for why we not just admire fictional heroes, but we also admire people in real life, like athletes, celebrities, or political or historical figures. It's important to be aware that when unchecked, this can lead to hero worship. It's not at all a bad thing to admire someone. It's probably even a good thing. You can absorb some of those characteristics that you like about these people that are actually moral and noble and incorporate those into your life. However, when you are just creating excuses for some of the immoral things or things that hurt other people, that is just hero worship. And it's no longer admiration. At that point, it's idolization, thinking that these people that you look up to can commit no wrong. I have a future video planned on hero worship. So this is why understanding the disadvantages is just as important as understanding the advantages of the hero archetype. I want you all to know that Carl Jung and authors to stories about the hero's journey were all inspired by myths that date back to the beginning of humanity. From hunter-gatherer societies to stories and religious texts, the admiration that we have for the heroes in these stories is an indication that we all have a desire to see ourselves become the best version of ourselves. For videos on how you can overcome some of the challenges in your hero's journey, like overthinking or how to become happier, then I recommend starting right here. And if you want to learn more about Jungian psychology, like understanding the shadow, then watch this video right here. Thanks for watching.